I don't know if I said that, and also I don't know if it's in my culture. But the thing is, if we start chatting, we never get to the meditation afterwards.
Yeah, of course.
That's why. But yeah, for me, it's like, because when this is it. Also, when for the ones who have a camera and we can see each other, then it's kind of nice, and it still keeps a little bit the sense of being a community and knowing each other and being connected to each other. I think that's still quite important these days. Of I don't know how you are, because I just had a phone call with a friend of mine that I saw last Wednesday, and we had lunch together, and it looks that she has COVID since last Sunday. So I don't know, then I'm just in case I also got it, but there's no symptoms yet. So I just stay home, and I'm not seeing anybody for a few days or for 10 days or a little bit, so that I'm not passing it on to somebody in case.
And if it helps you, usually if one gets COVID, he should start to have symptoms 99% of the time during the first 5 days. If during the first 5 days you had no symptoms, so either you don't have it or you're gonna have it under the surface, but you're not gonna feel it too much. So you may relax.
Okay. So anyway, I'll still stay home for another few days. It's okay. Just to be sure. I saw her last Wednesday, like a week ago. And we spent the whole afternoon together, so like that. But yeah, this is also when they say you should have it like pretty early. So, but anyway, I'll let you know in case I'm that 1% which gets it like after 5 days. So, so like this. Okay, so welcome everybody. So I would suggest before, as I said, before we go into discussing, chatting, looking at the verses, we do again some awareness meditation, which if we want to transform and train our mind, I mean, this is a skill that is really good to have. And there's so much research these days also that just by training like 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes every day, that it really has a good impact on your life. So I don't know if anybody has noticed it, but it's definitely how to say it's definitely worthwhile to invest that time. I mean, it's just 20 minutes out of how many minutes does a day have? I don't know. 24 times 12. Who is good in calculating? Tom? Many. Okay, let's do many. It's like, the people in the South Pacific, like on very remote islands where they have their own language, but they also speak French, like in the Marquesas. And I used to spend some time there. And in their own language, when they count, is one too many. So if they want to say 10, they have to say it in French, or 12, 15, or oh, great, thank you, 1,480 minutes. So out of these 1,480 minutes, if you spend like 20 minutes every day, just to sit, sometimes even if you don't have a precise method, or you're not sure if you're doing it right, or this and that, but just to sit and to try to be present and see what's going on. And then with time, the mind just does it like automatically. And then also it does it when you're out, when you're not sitting in formal meditation. So, and then the mind will start, then you will have good tools to transform the mind, because then you can catch whenever an unhelpful emotion comes up, you can catch it at the beginning, and then you don't have to suppress it, and also you don't have to live it out, but you can really allow it to transform, or you can allow it to show its own nature of being impermanent. And if you don't feed into it with like your thoughts that otherwise come automatically, that it doesn't increase, and especially that you're not, saying something that later you would regret, or doing something with your body. So this is why. So we'll just do this maybe 10 minutes. And as always, before one starts, like the formal just awareness meditation, first thing is you connect with your body and you try to sit comfortable, but with a straight back, like full of self-confidence. So also if you can close your microphones, then that's fine. Otherwise, if anybody doesn't have the microphone closed and you hear some noise, that's okay, because it does bring you into the present, so don't get upset. See it as a help for having been lost in thought. And then also, again, don't forget, bring a friendly feeling to this, to everything that you do anyway. Yeah, feeling of tenderness, feeling of softness, feeling of appreciating yourself, that you are the way you are, with this constant criticizing ourselves and never good enough thing. We won't be able to transform. We won't be able to develop a good heart. We can't even have it for ourselves. So try to experience that. How does it feel? If I just sit and then, put my mind on the breath, or if I really very consciously bring into this whole thing a friendly feeling. Try to experience it. Being convinced that this is a good thing that you are doing. And then, of course, the big question, like the motivation, why am I doing this? If we remember the teachings of the Buddha, there is suffering and we don't like it. But this suffering has causes, which is my unhelpful emotions. But also to remember they're not part, they're not oneness, they're not in the nature of my mind. Therefore, because suffering has causes, because the causes themselves also have causes, I can eliminate them. As I said, without having to suppress anything, without having to hate myself, without having to kill myself, with a lot of care, with a lot of compassion for myself, and then in the long run, with kind of the purpose, I am doing this awareness meditation not just for myself, that I have less suffering and more happiness, more space, more peace, more well-being, but I'm doing it so others can benefit from it. In whatever way, of course, long run when I have become a Buddha, but also in short term, that whoever meets me, I can inspire them, I can be kind to them, I can give them a moment of well-being and peace if I don't attack them with my aggression, or if I don't demand things from them with my attachment. But ultimately, it's to recognize, to know, to experience the nature of our mind, which is pure by nature, but is covered by these unhelpful emotions. So I developed that self-confidence. I can be what is called a good person. And I want to be a good person. I mean, if that's suitable for you, if it's not suitable, then don't think like this. But again, try to see the effect. I can be a good person. I can be free from unhelpful emotions. And this is what I want, for the benefit of whoever will meet me this evening, tomorrow, next week, and in the future. And try to be aware of the experiences, the sensations that these kind of thoughts produce. And then it can well be that with these thoughts, your body automatically relaxes, becomes soft, open. If not, then it's good to use one of the methods that we've been looking at. If you can't remember any of them, then we can discuss it when the meditation is finished. But for the moment, I would like you to find your own method to relax the body and to relax the mind. And then you choose your object of meditation, which can be in breath, out breath, can be an image, whatever you're used to, and as much as possible, you keep it with your awareness, not too tight and not too loose. It's also another thing we can play around with. Once you are a bit experienced, in order for the mind to become relaxed, stable, and finally clear, so that we can see the things as they are and are not fooled by appearances anymore. So we'll do this for 10 minutes from now. If you find that you got lost in thought, just bring the mind back. But again, remember to be friendly with yourself. To be gentle. And to be affectionate. And in your body, experience the feeling of being friendly to yourself. Especially on your face. Okay. Do you have any comments or questions to these kind of things that we do? No? If nobody opens the microphone, I assume that it's no. Otherwise, you can always ask later. Okay, so we have been looking at verses. We've been looking at these verses last time that, we've been looking at why are we so hurt by words, I think. That was kind of, why do we get angry when somebody doesn't give us nice and kind words? I think you don't see the text yet. Sorry. If you don't see the text and I'm kind of behaving as if you would see it, then you need to protest.
We don't see it.
Now you can see it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sometimes I realize too late. Okay. So we say kind of, we're saying, since disrespect, harsh speech, unpleasant words do not cause any harm to my body, why mind do you become so angry? Yeah. Like if somebody hurts you physically, then of course this pain has to heal. But then if somebody just gives you unpleasant words, why do we react so strongly? And then we said, because we don't have much self-confidence and we make kind of our happiness depending on other people's opinion in a way. Yeah. But then there's this argument here, because others will dislike me when they say angry words, and I want everybody to like me. But it's difficult, since we are not liking everybody the same way also, unless you're really realized. So then it's also, some people like me, some people don't. I don't know why we're making such a big deal out of it. If somebody that I dislike and they don't like me, even that, when we look at the subtle level, we feel offended. Yeah. Even though I do not like them, but still kind of they should like me, not too close. They shouldn't come too close, but at least they should not dislike me. Again, this is very subtle, it goes on in a very subtle way. But then the argument is, but since it will not devour me like the words, either in this or in another life, why do I not want this dislike? Somebody likes me, dislikes me, if they don't harm me physically, or if they just dislike me, it doesn't make that much difference. Why do I make the happiness of my life so dependent on that everybody should like me? And he says it's not this dislike of others, it cannot do so. It cannot harm you, really. You are the one that is harming yourself. You remember the second arrow? We talked about the second arrow. So the unpleasant word is the first arrow. It's not pleasant to hear. That's true. Criticism, especially when it comes with a lot of spite and with a lot of aggression, it's not pleasant to hear. But the second arrow, kind of, we shoot ourselves. And then here the argument is, because it will hinder my worldly gain. So because it will hinder my worldly gain, maybe if you have a business and people talk badly about you, and then, people, they ruin your good reputation, especially on the internet, one can do this these days. Somebody slandering your product just because they were not happy, and then you lose customers. But then, so that's the counter argument. It's okay to get angry when somebody slanders me, because it could hinder my worldly gain, my earning my livelihood. But then he says the argument against the anger is, but even if I do not want this, I shall have to leave my worldly gains behind, and my evil alone will remain unmoved, meaning I will take this with me to my next life. Yeah, so even I don't want to leave everything behind. It's like, wouldn't it be wonderful? I mean, it's not. Wouldn't it be wonderful? It's not the right way. Maybe let me look at you again. Sometimes we do really behave as if we could take our worldly things with us to our next life, isn't it? Yeah, like there's so much attachment to these things that we don't realize that we have to leave it behind. So definitely, I mean, if you could take it with you, your bank account and your Visa card, would you take it with you to your next life? Hadar says no. I would. Come on, I would already have a bonus to start with. Are you really sure that if we could take the bank account, like the money in the bank account with us, you wouldn't take it? You're funny people.
I would prefer. I would prefer to take people I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Well, anyway, it's not, it's not either or. Okay. So it's kind of what the things that we have now, the things that we're taking refuge in, which is our worldly possessions, friends and families, as Noah says, and then this body. This body, I think I would be quite happy to leave behind, even though baby's body is not, if I'm reborn as a human, the baby's body is also not so terribly pleasant at the beginning. But this old body, this I can leave behind. But yeah, of course, the friends, that would be great. So this is why he says, because we would take it with us if we could. So sometimes it doesn't open. And I haven't figured out why. Okay. So this is why he says, even if I do not want this, we don't want to leave these worldly things behind, but we have no choice. I shall have to leave my worldly gains behind, and my evil alone will remain unmoved. So with anger, we might save our worldly things, with aggression, defending them. That's true. But at the time of death, we have to leave them behind. But what we will take with us is our tendencies, habits, karmic imprints from having defended our things with aggression and anger. Now again, Shantideva is not saying you should not defend them. He says you should not defend them with anger. And if you do defend your things, also think about the person that you are kind of against, the person who wants to take it away from you. So it's the attitude, it's the motivation that counts here. And then, so I think this is where we stopped. Yeah. Or maybe we had this verse, maybe we had also last time. And this is very, what he's saying is like, wow, this is big thing. Saying, thus it is better that I die today than to live a long but wicked life. For even if people like me should live a long life, there will always be the suffering of death. Yeah, death is certain. We will have to die at one point. So if we have the choice of living a long life, but we have to use aggression, or we decide to use aggression and anger all the time in order to be able to survive, then he says, better for me to die today and then maybe be reborn in a better situation or something like that. What do you think of this verse? This heavy. This is really heavy. What do you think?
You have to completely believe in karma, I think.
Who said it? I couldn't catch it. Huh?
Giddy.
Giddy, yeah. So what did you say? What do you say?
I think you have to completely believe in karma.
Yeah,
like
and in future
100%.
lives, definitely.
In future life.
In future life. So this is
Otherwise.
definitely, this is for a Buddhist, and this is for a Bodhisattva who wants to attain enlightenment really, really quickly, who says it doesn't matter if I have long or short life. Main thing is that I'm not creating negative karma here. Yeah, so otherwise it's like, it doesn't make sense. Yes, Leora?
I agree with Giddy, of course, but it's very, it makes it easier. It helps to think, to know that even if I only have this life, it's much better to live without aggression and without being angry and criticizing the world all day. And if we have the method how to do it, it's not worthwhile not using it, even if I'm not sure about next lives. So, of course, if I accept next lives, no problem.
Yeah.
Then these verses. But even for this life, or even if I have 1 year, do I want to spend it being angry at people? So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah, good. Very good also. Another opinion. Okay, let's look at the other verses, because then also it might be kind of, it becomes also what he says, a very good argument what he said. It goes a bit in the direction what Leora has said. Yeah, if I put here, yeah, okay. So he says, suppose someone should awaken from a dream in which he experienced 100 years of happiness, and suppose another should awaken from a dream in which he experienced just one moment of happiness. For both of these people who have awoken, the happiness will never return. Similarly, whether my life has been long or short, at the time of death, it will be finished like this. So this, I think this is a very good argument, because once it's finished, whether it's been long or short, it's finished. And I think we have a little bit the misconception that we think we will die more happy and more peaceful, or maybe full of gratitude, if we had a really full and happy and easy life, like a life full of pleasure and easy and happy. This is what we think, isn't it? That we will be able to go out of life and say, wow, I had such a wonderful life, and then departing from this life will be very easy. Do you think that we think like this?
Yes.
Yeah. So then now the question is, again, so what Leora said, so does it matter how long my life is? We feel it matters, isn't it? I mean, this is, I can't remember who said it. It wasn't here. I think it was in the 4 attachments. When we talked about the 4 attachments, and somebody talked about this life instinct that, that you don't want to die. You just, instinctively, you kind of, you fight for your life. Do we agree with that argument here? It doesn't really matter how long our life is. Main thing that we're not creating more negative karma, because whether I had all of these worldly interests, that's what he's speaking about here, because the worldly gains basically is having pleasure, having gain, having a lot of praise, and having good reputation, kind of getting what we want in worldly terms. This is where most of our interest lies, and when we don't get it, we get upset. So basically what he says, it doesn't really matter whether you got them or not. The main thing is that, when it's finished, it is finished, that you cannot draw from this at the time of death in order to die peacefully. What do you think?
It's a different direction, because we are used to hear that we have precious human birth that doesn't come so easily, and we don't know if in our next life we'll be human. So it's much better to think along the lines that let's hear more Dharma and try to correct this afflictions, than to think about better die now and not create more karma, because we are going to lose this opportunity.
Yeah, but if you fight for your life with aggression and with anger and killing a lot of people, then you're not creating causes for you not. It won't be beneficial. Of course, if you say again, it's not about protecting your life. It's about protecting your life with aggression, or protecting, cheating for your possessions and things like that, creating negativities in order to protect your life and to protect your possessions. That's what he's saying. He's not saying you shouldn't have a long life because you can purify your negative karma and practice the Dharma. This is not what he's saying. Okay?
Yes, but even Avalokiteshvara, this kind of the Buddha's time, when he was such a villain who killed so many people, but he had the chance to for enlightenment, and so everyone should think that there is a chance for enlightenment, even if he was very bad for a long time. That's my opinion.
Yeah, but he stopped killing by meeting the Buddha. Yeah, so that's
Of
what.
course, you have to make a change in your life. Then, that's for
So,
sure.
but Tommy, I don't quite understand your argument. So your argument is, okay, I continue to do negative karma because it could well be that in this life I would be able to turn around. Is that your argument?
No, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the teacher that is giving this argument, and then as I understand it from this text, and then I'm saying instead of saying this, at least that's maybe I misunderstood it. But saying it's better die now because of all this bad karma that he's creating, whoever. It's better to try to again to make another effort to change the situation, even if he created a lot of terrible karma. There is still a chance to correct it, and let's use this chance. No?
Difficult, isn't it? I mean, will we be able to correct it, or are we not just, creating causes we will meet these enemies again and again and again and again as enemies. This is the thing. Then of course, if you again, like this is how complex the whole thing is and how complex karma is. If you start to cheat and lie and kill and do all these negativities in order to protect you things, including your life, with the thought, maybe at one point I will be able to purify these negative karma. But I doubt that you would do that. I'm not so sure, or just hoping, yeah, maybe by coincidence, then I will be able to turn around. I'm not so sure. Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand. Maybe you can explain again about this paragraph. That what does it says? Because I think we can die differently. We can die more peacefully or less peacefully.
Yes, of course.
I think it depends not on the bad karma, maybe on the good karma. Maybe if we feel that we fulfilled some of our potential, and maybe if we became more with love, and we met more happiness in our life, and we helped more people, so we can die. But I'm not sure I understand what it says there.
But what it says is like, once the life is finished, once we have to die anyway. So because we are so attached to this life, also we get so upset, and there's quite a lot of frustration and anger, and sometimes aversion against other people is coming up. Yeah. Whereas if we would think that, well, I have to leave it behind anyway, we live as if we are going to live forever. So he's reminding us that what's the point of getting upset about losing something now, like your reputation or your possessions or whatever? At the time of death, you have to leave it anyway. And then also with, then this argument comes, but I need to have a long life. And if we look at society these days, it seems that a long life is important. Whether the life is good or not is not so important. This kind of this thing about the medicine, like keeping people alive for so long, even though they're maybe in a coma or they're, I don't know, do you see what I mean? Yeah, it seems as if death is a terrible thing, but what he's telling us is like, whether you like it or not, you will have to die. And then, so same as if you have a dream where you had you slept many, many hours and you had many, many, many wonderful experiences in your dream, and somebody else just has maybe one small happy experience. Both of you, when you wake up, that's it, it's finished. You cannot draw from this. And I think what he's trying to tell us, this is just what I think, because it doesn't say that in the commentary, but this is what I think. Because somehow, because I've seen people dying, and it seems not everybody, as you say, of course, people die very differently, but we should already now really take death into our life and to really think, in what way would I be able to live, to die peacefully? What do I need to do? What do I do now while I'm still alive when I am frustrated, stressed, in a bad mood or whatever? what are my antidotes that then also at the time of death, I have access to them. Yeah. So when young people die, they don't want to die because they say, but I haven't lived yet. Okay, so then there's this, there's this big fight. I don't know if you've seen people fighting for life, but they had to go. Like my brother, he died at 48. And I tell you, it was really, really, really painful because nobody was allowed to talk about death. He totally denied that he was dying. So these last words or these things that are important to say when it's like this, nobody was able to say it. He didn't want to hear it. And he left his wife totally unprepared. It was so painful. And he fought and he fought and he fought. He had cancer and he had to die anyway. I mean, this is a little bit what he's saying. Even, even if you have to, if your life is very short, when it's finished, it is finished. And so to consider it that we have to die one day and to really find antidotes for our anger, and this was your homework, by the way, for last week, that they are ready, because at the time of death, our mind might not be so strong anymore as it is now. And so your mind has to be familiarized with these antidotes. So automatically it goes there when you are starting to get angry. Because I guess we would all want to have a peaceful death. Because why is a peaceful death? Now I'm giving you the Buddhist point of view. Why is a peaceful death very important from the Buddhist point of view? Is because if you die with a peaceful mind, as you say, Hadar, full of love and full of compassion and like this, you activate a positive imprint that throws you into a next existence that you can think, okay, there I can continue with the path, Whereas if you die with a lot of anger and a lot of frustration and a lot of aggression against, against somebody who comes to see you and goes, wah, 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 you don't want them to talk, you would rather be quiet and you get angry at them, but you have no more control, you can't talk anymore. Yeah, so how are you going to deal with this? When you feel that already today, these days, if you are with people and they just go blah, 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 and you start to get frustrated. So what are you doing? You have the strength or the capacity to move away or to tell them, oh, look, I'm really not interested in what you're saying, but it creates tension also. But maybe at the time of death, you'll be on your bed, you can't talk anymore. When I was in Israel last time also, I went to visit somebody with Leora Price who couldn't talk anymore because she had had a stroke. I mean, Leora was able to understand her because she went to see her once a week. But me, seeing her for the first time, I could hardly understand what she was saying. And also Leora had problems. And this lady, she wanted to tell us something, but she got so upset of not being able to communicate. So you see, when you are around people who are nearing death, and you can see what kind of problems could arise that don't arise when we are alive, then you start to think, okay, in what way can I start to practice now so that when I have all these difficulties, that I can still remain calm and peaceful? Yeah. So for example, if you have lived a very good life and you have a lot of antidotes, and or by nature you're not very aggressive, then of course you have a good chance that you will die peacefully, but only a chance. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. Something could happen that totally upsets you, and then you actually activate a negative imprint. You still take all your positive karmic imprints with you to your next life. They're not getting lost, but they will not ripen in your next life. And actually, if you want to know how this works, the mind and death and grasping and all this, I read just now on your website that Geshe-ma is teaching the 12 links of dependent arising. So if you are interested how Buddhism is explaining why we are in samsara and why we can't live the life we would like to live, is a very good explanation. It's a bit complicated, but you know, you might have to hear it a few times, but it's really good. Okay, does that make sense a little bit? So we integrate death in our life, kind of getting up in the morning by thinking this could be my last day. How do I want to spend it? If you go to bed in the evening, one day less in my life where I have time to do what I really want to do, so that we start to set priorities. Yeah. And unfortunately, even me, you know, even though I talk so much about it, don't think that I'm able to do this. Very often, because before I go to bed, I always empty the bowls here in the gompa. So then I think about, wow, another day gone, you know, when I do this, because I'm alone here now, because we're closed again, I have a lot of time to reflect and to think and not having to concentrate on others. So it's a feeling of, did I do what I really want to do today? And if not, then tomorrow you do different. So, but it's still, even though I do think about it, it's still not very present. It's still not very much there. But when we have somebody else from the group, they just discovered, they thought, I mean, she did have appendix, like Normie had. How do you say in English? Blinddarmentzündung in German.
Appendicitis.
Appendicitis, okay. And then so they cut out the bit, and then they saw that she has cancer. There's a little, she says a little cancer. The way she talks about it, she said, a little cancer, a little therapy, a little this, a little that. I thought like, oh, okay. But she really thinks, she really says, you know, I'm a Buddhist for many, many years, but I have never been thinking about this like I'm thinking about this now. Because now she starts to think, should I go for a second operation? Should I do the therapy? Should I just go? And then she feels how attached we are to life. And she's over 70 also. She's not that young. You know, that you can't say, oh, I haven't had a full life. And what I wanted to say, sometimes with dying people, they don't want to go because they feel like they missed out on something. They're still waiting for something big to happen, like with this feeling of, oh my gosh, you know, now I have to go. And is this what I struggled for? To leave everything behind? And this is what they say sometimes, actually. Yeah. So, so when you are getting upset, or when you feel that you're getting aggressive, because it's all about anger here. It's not about protecting your things or fear of missing out. Yeah, it's so big, you know, this fear of missing out. Now the vaccine is around the corner. You see, until now, with no vaccine against this COVID, people are quite peaceful, yeah? But now, you know, there might be a vaccine. I hope there will be no wars over this vaccine. I hope nobody will get killed because of this vaccine. And I hope that everybody will get it, and not just the rich and the powerful and whatever. Yeah. It's a bit like when you are stuck in an airport because of fog. Or sometimes I was in Tahiti when they had this volcano. Do you remember, which had that really long name in Iceland somewhere? Was Israel affected through that also? Must be, because even in Tahiti, the airplanes didn't go anymore because there was this dust in the air. You weren't affected? When was it? It was maybe 15, 20 years ago or something. You don't remember? All the airplanes were grounded. Really, all over the world.
Not that much in Israel, but all the planes going to Europe, it was problematic.
Exactly. So they didn't go. Yeah, exactly. So that's what it was. It wasn't a problem in Tahiti, but the planes didn't come anymore. And of course, they couldn't leave. So people were stuck for days in the airport. So it was quite, you know, it was quite okay. It was quite peaceful. The moment the plane started to go again, they started fighting. And, you know, this is what I mean. So it's like the fear of missing out, the fear of, oh, this one can go first. I mean, it's amazing how that instinct of I have to be first, how strong that is. If everybody is peaceful, there's no panic. and people wait until it's their turn. The moment one starts to push, you know, it's panic. And we had this in Bogaya when we used to feed the beggars. I don't know if anybody has ever seen that. So we have hundreds of beggars sitting in a line, you know, because we told them, or they told, you know, they got to know about this. We have them sitting in a line, and then there's huge pots of rice and dal to be given out. They come with their plate. We needed to have guards with sticks in order to keep them in line for a plate of rice and dal, not because they're dying. I mean, they are poor and they have hunger, but they're not starving like this, you know. But because of this thing, I'll miss out. They would beat each other up, would push each other into the pots. So what we did, we started to have a system that if there was not enough, because when they saw it was getting less and less and less, then the fear came up, yeah. And it's not that they would have died because they don't have this plate of rice and dal, but it's this instinct that is coming up and the aggression. And so what we did, we used to make cards so if they would miss out today, they got a card with a stamp with the date on it, because otherwise they would come back with the same card. And then they could come tomorrow, and we would only give to them. But it was a real battle. It was always quite unpleasant, although it's a very joyful thing to do, to give out food to 500, 600, 700 people, but it was always very, very aggressive. So I'm not saying I wouldn't do the same thing, you know. I'm not saying if I would be sitting in the line that I would not fight for it. So the way I'm training is I'm not fighting for a place on the bus or on the train. This is how I'm training. But even then, sometimes it's difficult, yeah. So does that make more or less sense here? That we have to start to integrate death in our life. And when you feel you're getting upset, you know, and you think, if I would have to die tonight, would that be important? Yeah, this can be your homework, by the way, for the week. To use death as a method to calm down. So this is the message that he's giving us here. When we have to leave everything behind, possessions, friends, family, and the body also. So if somebody says, gosh, you put on another 5 kilos, what are you doing? And then you think, at the time of death, you know, would that be important? What I usually think, because I did in the COVID, you know, some people went running like mad. I started cooking because I had so much time. So I did put on weight. So in order to calm myself down about the weight, because here in Switzerland, we get cremated, you know, everybody gets burned. I mean, when they're dead, not before, okay? So it's like, so I think, you know, they need less fuel when there's more fat. So that's at the time of death, having a fat body is actually quite of advantage if you get cremated, because they need much less fuel, because, you know, the body kind of burns itself with all the fat. So that's a good thing. So this is how I console myself about my maybe 5 kilos more that I put on in the COVID time. So this whole thing about antidotes for anger, did anybody do that? Did anybody have an occasion to get angry this week? Because I didn't have any. Except for one, but only slightly frustrated. But and then I noticed it, and then that's it. It was gone. And I wrote a very nice email, so it's good, you know. And then so it's when you with anger, when you write, because anger is righteous, so you are about to write an email to explain yourself or to explain the situation, and then if you have the awareness and you go, oh no, wait until I calm down. You calm down, and then you write the email in another way, or maybe you already wrote the first one, but you don't send it, you write the second one, and then again, you look how you feel. How do you feel sending the first one, if you reread it, and how do you feel sending the one who is more kind, more considerate, less aggressive, you know, because we have this kind of aggressive way of telling somebody that they made a mistake. I have. Do you have also this? You know, it's packed into politeness, of course, but it is aggressive in a subtle way. I mean, am I the only one who has this? Or no, nobody else has this. Oh,
you're not the only one.
Of course we do.
I must be the only one. So did
No.
anybody get angry during last week?
Yeah, I got angry.
And did you?
Anya, I got angry last week, but I didn't find an antidote. I just acted on my anger, and then it was very embarrassing afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling that someone was sort of a friend, was trying to cheat me.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
This is really big. Somebody that you trust, yeah?
Yes.
Oh. Does he know that he is your friend?
We are not good friends, but we are we know each other, and we had some acquaintance. But we were very friendly. I mean, we were not good friends, but we were friendly with each other for some time. And then I had a feeling, I thought that he was manipulating me or trying to cheat me.
Mm-hmm.
And then next time I met him, I was very unfriendly.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell him why. And then he got he got scared even. I mean, he was very surprised. He didn't know what's happening. He started to, stutter, and he couldn't understand the situation.
Yeah.
Then after 2 days, I realized that it was my mistake and he didn't try to cheat me.
Oh, wow. And then?
And then I behaved very nicely to him, but I didn't tell him, listen, I was angry because I thought you were cheating me, and then I found out that you didn't cheat me. I tried to make up by being more friendly, being nice and kind to him, and trying to fix it. But I didn't tell him that I behaved in that way because I suspected him.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't think you need to tell. But sometimes, sometimes people really try to cheat us, even people that we trust. So then what do we do? But this whole thing about, this is a good thing when we realize that we have been unfriendly in a maybe exaggerated way, or that we have been aggressive in an unjustified, it's never justified anyway, that we have been unfriendly or aggressive in an unjustified way. It's good when you realize it and you're not getting full of shame and guilt, because then you don't do anything about it. You maybe even separate from the person, but that we want to make up for it, because then they have a bonus. So it's actually quite a good thing to realize, I have totally over exaggerated. It's because then we are really consciously very friendly, and not in a hypocritical way, because we really want to make up for having caused harm or hurt, and we feel sorry for it, and we are actively doing something about it by being friendly. Yeah.
Really so upset. At the time when I thought that he's cheating me, really no antidote. I was just, how could he do this? And I trusted him, and I was so honest with him.
Yeah, the trust is the very big thing, isn't it? That maybe he didn't. Okay, why did I ask you, does he know that he is your friend? Because sometimes people don't know. Sometimes people don't know that I label them friends. So when I label somebody friend, unconsciously, I have huge expectations. He should never cheat me. He should always be honest with me. He should be kind with me. He should be friendly with me. And it's not in the head. We don't have these expectations in the head. They're kind of course, it's normal. He is my friend. And this is actually what we say, or, people tell us when we don't fulfill their expectations. Then they come and say, oh, but you are my friend. And then sometimes I go, oh, sorry, I didn't know. know, so at least when we label somebody friend, we should let them know, I see you as my friend, so please, you behave as my friend. Yeah, so then we can make a contract or something like this. And this is where a lot of frustration and a lot of hurt comes from. I think in Spain, once I did a course which was called, Why is it so difficult not to hate the ones we love? Because it's those people that can hurt us the deepest, isn't it? If it's somebody that we don't trust and somebody we dislike, if they cheat us, we're quite happy that they cheat us, because then we can spread the rumors about them. Then we have a good reason to go and talk badly about them, you know? Then we're almost happy. Can you see, do you see why I'm talking about these things? And this is what Shantideva is showing us, that we are full of contradictions, yeah? Somebody's cheating us, they're cheating us. So if it's a friend, we're totally hurt and destroyed and we get angry and frustrated. If it's somebody that we dislike, if it's not too big, we're actually quite happy, because then we have a good reason to say, see, I know that this is a bad person. But they're doing the same thing to us. Did anybody otherwise try have some antidotes? Because I was hoping that we can share some good antidotes.
I was during
Tom, yeah.
Someone else want to talk? Sorry.
No, go ahead. Fine, then we'll take turns. Tom.
Okay, so I had one opportunity to, when I was angry, and I noticed that I was angry, so I kind of noticed it consciously to myself and told myself that, okay, this is the situation and I don't want this, and I thought what I can do. And I tried Tornglen, and it quite helped actually. Like connecting the breath, making being conscious of the breath, and with the exhale and the inhale, entering energy and exhaling energy, and thinking about all the other people that are angry right now. So I can take their anger and at least like help them in this way or something.
Okay, then you calm down and then you react. It doesn't mean you don't react anymore, but you react differently. You react with reason, because again, I think we already said it last time, somehow deep down, you know, we have this thing that it's not normal not to get angry. Kind of, there's something wrong with me if I don't get angry at that moment. Again, it's not in the head. Or kind of, we think that if I don't get angry, something terrible will happen, just for small things sometimes. Yeah. So it's so normal for us to get angry, and then we think it's right because it's just a habit. Yeah, in many situations. But the thing is, as we react with anger, then we create, you know, the habit becomes stronger, and we become unhappier and unhappier and unhappier. And then we have a big chance actually at the time of death that we also will go with aggression, because things didn't go the way I wanted them to go. Yeah. So again, this is why, again, you know, this whole in the morning, your motivation when you get out of the house, what is the purpose of my life? What do I want to be? So as a Bodhisattva is to be of benefit to others. It's not to have gain and praise and lots of friends and, you know, everybody admiring you and these kind of things. That's not the purpose of your life. Deep down, we still have these attitudes, these very worldly attitudes. Yeah. This is why we get upset when somebody criticizes us. This is why we get upset when somebody has to gain and we lose. Yeah. Good. Joyce, did you want to say something?
Yes, I please. I just want to share my experience last Monday.
Okay.
Because in my apartment we live in some other people. I live with some other people, and they are always in my apartment every night because we live together.
Again, Joyce, your sound is quite, I can't hear you properly because
they are drinking and Again,
you know what? You know what,
every
Joyce?
night.
Joyce, just a sec. You know what? Turn off the camera because that helps sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, just a minute. How to turn it off? I cannot. Oh, I don't know how to do it.
Okay, then just try again.
Okay. In my apartment, because they are drinking all the time, and I have in my experience now in my situation, I am the deep depression before, and I was an alcoholic. I was in terrible alcoholic, and every time I smell the drink, I'm shaking, and I felt that all my nerves are. I don't know how it control it or not, and the temptation is there. So I asked them that I don't want to join with them, and it gets me nervous, and I tried to calm myself. I don't know what to do because I don't feel nice to not to share with them or not to be with them. So I don't want to drink and I don't want to be there. So I said I have to do something, but I got angry because I asked not and continues convincing me, and I know that it's big trouble with me. So I just came into my room and I take a deep breath and wear my shoes and go out and walk.
Yeah.
But I got it's a huge temptation for me because first of all I'm not really healed with my feelings that it's still in the depression, and the feeling of angry or upset, I tried to aware to myself not to go to get into it. So what I did is I just put my shoes and go to walk outside. So that's my
Okay, so having been in almost the same situation because I was an alcoholic as well. So what I did, because what I felt is when people people who were drinking, they thought from their side, although I never did that because I had a restaurant, so I was actually earning my money with it. So I was happy that people kind of still continued drinking, but only for 2 years. Then I was not happy about it anymore, and I sold it. So. But what I always told them, I said, look, I mean, if you want to drink, it's absolutely no problem for me. I'm not judging you, because they thought I was judging them, because everybody knows drinking too much is not a good thing, okay? Or even drinking is not a good thing. So then from their side, they think that you're putting yourself above them because you stopped drinking. So you need to make them understand, look, I still love you. You can drink, that's fine. But please let me also not drink. I let you drink, but I give you the freedom to drink. But now you give me the freedom not to drink, please. And if you say that very calmly, and to say, and for me, this is a protection. And you say, I don't want to start drinking again because it's difficult to stop. So something like that. But try to say it in a really calm way. But if you can't, then going for a walk, that's a very good antidote.
Because I suddenly realized I tried to aware myself that okay, it's their life, that's what they want, and why I should have to be angry for what they like to do. So I just try to calm myself, and okay, if you don't want to come back with that, so just do something that not to get in there.
Exactly.
So
that's very good.
I just say bye and I go out.
So the only thing you can do in order to release the tension a bit is not to judge them, because they will feel it and then they get aggressive, and then that's it. It makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Okay, good. So maybe we do a reflection on loving kindness or compassion, because it's such a good antidote for anger. But if you're angry at somebody, if some people succeed, that's true, but try not to try to generate compassion and love for this person that makes you angry. That won't work, because then your ego will totally rebel. Take somebody else where it comes very naturally. So we'll do a reflection on this maybe, and so that you see how it goes. It's quite easy, and it's nurturing, like this whole thing about an antidote that you use should nurture your goodness, your strength, your courage, your calmness, your peace, your openness. It should not be a suppression. Because when we hear antidote, already the word is quite aggressive, antidote, and then you tap your anger. Yeah. But something that feeds into or nurtures your positive side, so that you don't need your anger anymore. Because anger kind of masquerades as a friend almost. You know, now I have to get angry in order to be protected. And maybe next time also we can start to question this. Do we need anger to survive? Do we need anger to be successful? Do we need anger to be happy? These kind of things. Because when anger comes, we are convinced, yes, I need it. So then we start maybe to take this a little bit apart.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rita.
I think it was also Darwin, was it Darwin maybe, who said, you know, it's not the fittest that survive, it is the ones who can cooperate. You know, like a society really thrives well, not because some are really strong and they kind of trample on all the others who are not so strong, but a society is happy and thrives if there's cooperation. But again, it doesn't mean cooperation with corrupt people. Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Thank you, Rita.
So your anger has less and less chance when you feel good about yourself and when you feel nurtured, and we can nurture the love and compassion. Okay, that's what we're going to do in the reflection. Okay.
Thank you, Rita. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Welcome. So just try to sit with a straight back if you can. And again, you know, when we talk about this, it's so dangerous because we see the disadvantage of anger. And then we have this thing, oh, I should not get angry. Why am I always getting angry? I should not be aggressive, but it's just a habit. So try to, especially when you meditate, you know, don't do a meditation in order to improve yourself, because then again, you're judging yourself. Although that's the purpose, I know somewhere, but it should not be the main purpose. So when you sit down to meditate, the intention should always be just to meet ourselves the way we are. And we meet everything, whatever arises, with warmth and affection. That's how we start the meditation, with friendliness. Again, you know, just this one sentence, I'm a good person. Dare to integrate that into your life. Dare to think that by nature, you are a good person. And don't meditate to fix yourself, to heal yourself, to improve yourself, or to redeem yourself. Rather do it as an act of love, of deep, warm friendship with yourself. Like the feeling you would have for a friend that you see they're suffering. Or when it comes down to aggression, when you see a small child being aggressive, a really small one, you're not getting angry at the child. You have compassion because you can see how the child is suffering. As they grow up, usually we meet aggression with aggression. And then it can't heal. So when we do our reflections or meditations in this way, there is no longer any need for the subtle aggression of self-improvement or the endless guilt of not being good enough. It offers the possibility of an end to the ceaseless round of trying so hard that wraps so many people's lives in knots. So how we can nurture ourselves is imagine a person that you find easy to hold in compassion, turning towards you with their compassionate gaze. Somebody who really accepts you the way you are. And you visualize them in front of you and they're looking at you, understanding what you're going through. How does it feel to be understood when we lose it, when we're aggressive, when we are impatient? And so first you reconnect with that felt sense of compassion you have for them. When you feel that somebody understands your suffering and is not judging you, immediately we start to have an open heart towards them as well. Connect with that feeling that you truly want to see them free from suffering. Don't take too much responsibility that you should be able to do this. Just a wish. You can even say the words, I wish that you are free from suffering. Sincerely, honestly. It might hurt. Your heart might hurt. Don't be afraid of that pain. Or you can say, I care about your difficulties. I see that this is hard for you. I see that you are trying. May you be held in compassion. May your heart be at peace. And again, just connect with these sensations, either in your heart, in your belly, in your throat, and just stay with them, to get familiar with them. And then you think that same person is now acknowledging what is hard for you. That same person is offering you now the same tenderness, the same well wishes that you have offered them. They care about your difficulties, about the mistakes that you're making. And they also think or even say, may you be held in compassion. May your heart be at ease. And allow yourself to take in their compassionate wishes as much as possible. Allow them to touch your heart. And then direct the same compassion to yourself. And you think, I care about my difficulties. Not with aggression, not with rejection, but with compassion. May my heart be at peace. So whatever arises, let it be there. even if rejection arises or aversion, so please do not judge your experience. So all of a sudden, sometimes it becomes clear where love is needed. It needs to be applied to the barriers between us and this life. And again, just think, I care about my difficulties. May I be held in compassion. May my heart be at peace. So there's no more rejection to the difficulties, to our sides that we call negative or unhelpful. We can accept the whole of us. So gently hold whatever is arising. And take some time to get in the habit of planting these seeds of compassion. Okay, so then we can do some Tara mantras, the mother of compassion, because sometimes also it really helps to connect to this enlightened energy if you have a connection. So screen Tara, I'm sorry I didn't take out the, or you know, whatever, if compassion would have a form, how would it look for you? Let the mind a little bit free and creative. And just think like that. Of course, you know, if you know how Tara looks, then you visualize Tara. But for you, it needs to be something that you can connect to. Something that speaks to you. So the moment I find Tara here somewhere. And then you try to connect with it, and you can also open up your heart towards her. And tell her the difficulties that you have. And actually ask for help. This is what the Buddhas are for. They're not omnipotent, but they can influence. So we have the strength and the courage to be able to deal with all this in a skillful way, in an enlightened and awakened way. So you can visualize from her heart coming healing, supporting light rays that kind of encompass all the qualities we would like to have. And you can visualize these light rays entering your body through your crown. And as it fills your body becomes a body of light. And then, you know, like a light bulb or like the sun, from your body of light, these many, many light rays are going out. And you send it to all the people that you care for, especially the person you had in your meditation, somebody that holds you in compassion, but also then to all other sentient beings, so that they also can be inspired to be able to kind of act with a heart of love, compassion, and wisdom, instead of the ego-centered mind who only thinks about itself and actually creates more suffering for oneself and also for others. Om Tare Tu Re So. 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 Then you can just continue reciting silently for a while, trying to keep the visualization like light from Tara's heart comes into your body, kind of dissolves all these difficulties. Your body becomes body of light, and then the light goes out from your body and Tara's heart to all sentient beings. Om Tare Tu Re So. 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 Tare Tu Re So. Okay, and then we dedicate all the positive energy that we have generated and created. May all beings understand that one can survive without aggression and anger and harming others. May all, through these virtues that we have created, may all beings be able to understand that cooperating with each other, caring about each other, this is the way to have a happy society. And then for us, through the virtue or the merits of these practices, may I quickly be able to, with wisdom and compassion, to eliminate all my unhelpful emotions, especially the wrong view of believing in real, self-true, autonomous, objective existence. May I see the connection that I have with others, how dependent I am on others. I have an open heart for all beings, especially the ones who are aggressive and suffering. Not so I let them do whatever they want to do, but I have the skillful means to show them another way if they want to be shown another way. If not, I will leave them alone. So through the virtue of these practices, may whoever sees me, hears me, thinks about me, touches me, talks to me, may it only be of benefit to them. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from fear, from suffering, and may they be loving and peaceful. And may we all be able to live our lives with joy and ease. So that we can die without regret. Okay, well, thank you very much. Do you remember the homework that if you get upset, frustrated or whatever, then you think if I, at the time of death, if that would be my time of death, would I get so upset about this? Yeah. Okay, then again, try not to find the biggest occasions where you can say full-heartedly, yes, of course I would be upset about this, because even if I die, my children will have to survive in that world. That's a very good excuse, yeah? Try not to go into that direction, but small, somebody takes your parking lot, or somebody throws something on the floor, or these little moments of frustration. Yeah, where it's absolutely not necessary to get upset and frustrated. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because otherwise the ego again, looks at, your government and global warming and this and that. And then it has many good reasons to get upset. And then, if you look at the text of Shantideva, of course, he destroys all these good reasons. But whether we are able to let go of these good reasons, I'm not sure, So, because the thing is, frustration leads to aggression. This is the thing. The frustration and the stress itself is not so bad, but it does lead to frustration. Yeah, Hadar, somebody wanted to ask something? Joyce, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Take good care of yourself. Yeah. Everybody, please take care, stay healthy, and maybe see you next week. Okay. Thank you very much for listening, participating. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And,
see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. So Leora, I made one mala of Tara, so you can figure out how many other people did, and I'll send you again tomorrow, because we do tomorrow morning in German Tara practice, where we do around 5,000 or something. I'll send you the number.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Take care.
Thank you so much, Rita. Thank you, Tammy, for welcoming
Thank you.
me. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much for everyone. Tadaw.
תודה רבה.
ביי תום. תודה.